Good morning, students. My name is Nosbusu Sopiliso, and I'm with my colleagues here, Ms. Mokau, Ms. Ndlovu, and Mr. Matlang. Today, we'll be teaching you guys Geography Grade 12, Climate and Weather. Our subtopic is Tropical Cyclones. So, today's lesson will be about the general characteristics of a tropical cyclone, the conditions necessary for a tropical cyclone to form, the stages of a tropical cyclone, associated weather patterns, the impact of human activities and the environment, and precautions and management strategies to manage the effect of tropical cyclones. As I have mentioned on the previous slide, that today we will focus on the characteristics. And the slide that is the characteristics of a tropical cyclone. Number one, a tropical cyclone is summer or autumn over warm tropical oceans. You will never find a tropical cyclone in spring. The ocean must be also warm in order for a tropical cyclone to form. At least it must be at 26 degrees Celsius, except in the southern Atlantic Ocean. Tropical cyclones are named alphabetically. This means that every time a tropical cyclone occurs, it will be named alphabetically. If it happens for the first time, or the first tropical cyclone at that particular time will be, its name will start with the alphabet A. If it happens for the third time, the first letter of the name of a tropical cyclone will be named C. That's how it's named. And the last but not least characteristic is that tropical cyclone move from east to west. These characteristics tells us more about a tropical cyclone, on how a tropical cyclone forms and when it approaches, what happens. As I have mentioned above, that when a tropical cyclone is occurring, there becomes a lot of damage to the land, especially to the places that are near the ocean, as the tropical cyclone happens in the ocean. So the people staying near the ocean are the ones that get more affected by the tropical cyclone, because water from the ocean starts where it is close, where there are places that are closer to the sea. So it is advised to people that they should not stay near water or near the ocean, because they are the first people to get affected when tropical cyclone appears. Their houses get damaged, their plantations get damaged. There's more soil erosion, which means when there's soil erosion, plants could never grow on that place. Trees fall, houses fall, there's life, animals die, people die. So it is mostly advised for people to not build their homes or houses near places that have dams, rivers, or ocean. So throughout this lesson, my colleagues here are going to teach you guys more about tropical cyclone on some other things. They are going to teach the factors necessary for tropical cyclones to form, the stages of development of tropical cyclone, as I have mentioned on the first slide, on the things we are going to focus on. They will also teach you the weather conditions at the passage of a tropical cyclone. They will also tell you or give you brief you more about impacts of tropical cyclone on human activities and the environment. We will also show you some pictures of the damage that a tropical cyclone makes when it appears or when it takes over on the land. And we will also give you the main causes of the destruction of a tropical cyclone. The main causes that destruction to the land. Then we will give you guys strategies to help prepare for and manage the effect of tropical cyclone. So I will give one of my colleagues to also tell you or teach you about other things of a tropical cyclone. Thank you.
Hi everyone. On this slide, we're going to be talking about factors necessary for tropical cyclones to form. The first point is that ocean temperature should be over 27 degrees Celsius. As my colleague had explained in the previous slide, that tropical cyclones need warm sea surface to form. It needs high temperatures to form. The second point is that it needs unstable air. What are unstable air? Unstable air forms when warm moist air is near the ground and cold dry air is above. Its lift comes from differences in air density. It pushes unstable air upward and creating a tall thunderstorm cloud. The third point is warm sea surface. As I have explained in the first point that tropical cyclones need warm water to form. The last point is that it needs enough Coriolis force to sustain a low pressure. What are Coriolis force? Coriolis force is an effect whereby a mass moving in a rotation system experiences a force. On Earth, the effect tends to deflect moving objects to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. On this slide, we're going to be talking about stages in development of tropical cyclone. Tropical cyclone had 4 stages: formative stage, developing stage, mature stage, and degenerating stage. I'm going to explain to you all the stages. The first one is the formative stage. The word formative comes from the word form, which means on this stage the cyclone is just beginning, is starting. The air pressure is above 1000 hectopascals. Hectopascals is an international unit of measuring atmospheric pressure. As we take a look into the images on this slide, we can see that on the center of the formative stage, the hectopascals start at 1000. The isobars are far from each other. As we look at the lines in the formative stage, we can see the difference with the other stages. The lines in this stage are far apart. The tropical cyclone form in waves and shear lines of pre-existing disturbance, and winds usually remain below the typhoon force. The second stage is the development stage. The air pressure is below 1000 hectopascals. The second stage is the development stage. On this stage, air pressure is below 1000 hectopascals. As we can take a look on the images, we can see that at the center, the air pressure is 960. This is the deepening stage of the cyclone, during which it continues deepening until the lower central pressure and maximum wind intensity is reached. However, intensity does not usually take. As the thunderstorm grows higher and larger, the air at the top of the cloud is cooling and becomes unstable. I have explained to you what is unstable air on the previous slide. The wind speed increases faster. The first stage is the mature stage. I want you to think about when people say a person is now mature. They literally mean that the person has fully grown. Just like on the tropical cyclone, on this stage the cyclone has reached its turning point. The pressure gradient is very strong. The wind speed reached hurricane strength. This means that on this stage we experience heavy rainfall. The clear eye is well developed and the air pressure is way below 1000 hectopascals. We're going to explain more about the eye on the next slides. The forward left-hand quadrant is most destructive as the intense winds in the cyclone combines with the force of the entire cyclone. The low pressure and the fast wind over the ocean masses cause them surge, which leads to further flooding on coastal areas. The first stage is the degenerating stage. This is the dissipating stage of the tropical cyclone, where the surface pressure rises. The area affected by cyclones diminishes in size as it dissipates. Cyclone diminishes in size as it dissipates due to friction and lack of moisture over the continent, or colder and drier air enters through they go polewide. The eye becomes wider. The air pressure rises above 1000 hectopascals. On this slide, we're going to be talking about the weather condition at the passage of the tropical cyclone. This slide will just describe them. On the other slide, my colleague will explain more about the weather conditions. As the cyclone approaches, the temperature rises and the cumulus clouds approach. As we all know, cumulus clouds are those clouds that bring heavy rainfall, and the temperature drops. As the eye is overhead, temperature increases slightly, winds drop slightly, pressure is at its lowest, light scattered cloud, calm condition of an air or two. My colleague is going to explain even more about the eye so you can understand what it is.
Good afternoon, good students. I am Mr. S.E. Mahlangu, and I welcome you to today's lesson. I'll be continuing from where my colleagues have left off. With you today, we'll be looking at the impacts of tropical cyclones on human activities and the environment, as well as the strategies to help prepare for and manage the effects of tropical cyclones. As we've learned in the earlier that tropical cyclones come with heavy rainfall, they come with storm, and they come with storm surges, especially in coastal areas. So tropical cyclones are more likely to have a negative impact on the natural environment and as well as the constructed environment of our land. Well, when we talk of the natural environment, we are talking of those non-man-made environments, the environments that were not created by anyone, that come from nature. We are talking about our mountains, our forests, our wetlands, and all those type of things. When we talk of constructed environments, we talk of the environments that are created by humans. We talk of the cities, the townships, harbors, the airports. All that was created by humans to actually better our lives. So tropical cyclones have a negative impact on human activities. When we talk of human activities, we are talking of things that people do on a daily basis. When there has been a tropical cyclone, it is very much impossible for a teacher to go to class and teach. Why is it impossible for a teacher to go to class and teach when there has been a tropical cyclone? This is so because you'd find that the constructed environment, which is the school, has been destroyed by the heavy rainfall, the storms, and the winds. You'd find that the children, the learners that the teacher should be teaching in the constructed environment, which is a school, have suffered a great deal. Some have passed on, some are injured, some are traumatized, because a tropical cyclone does cause a trauma, because it can be something that a person has never seen before. You may feel that God has turned his back against. A tropical cyclone does cause it trauma, because it can be something that a person has never seen before. You may feel that God has turned his back against us. So tropical cyclones do have a negative impact on human activities, as I've just exemplified that human activities are the things that people do on a daily basis, and the environment will now be looking at the negative impact on the environment. As you can see on the pictures there, you can see people are trying to reconstruct what has been demolished by uh, the tropical cyclone, the floods, and the winds have blown the houses. People are trying to gather the little that has been left out. No. Tropical cyclones, because it is heavy rainfall, and heavy rainfall, it cannot be bearable. Even the land uh, often fails to consume the water that comes with tropical cyclones. You will find that cities will be flooded, houses will be filled with water in and out. The moving objects like cars, bicycles, buses, they will be damaged by this uh, water, as it will fill the buses and damage the electrical system and all that. Many things will be dysfunctional due to tropical cyclones. And the most unfortunate part is that tropical cyclone does come with a lot of casualties. Tropical cyclones does cause death amongst the people, does cause death of animals, does cause damage to crops and vegetation. So if a tropical cyclone has hit a certain place, the immediate negative effects will that you'd find that the place will be flooded with water, uh, the infrastructure will be destroyed, uh, people would die, animals in that area would die, and all that will later result in an economic effect, and that would be a negative economic effect, because the infrastructure that has been damaged has to be reconstructed for life to continue smoothly. Uh, the people that have passed on as due to the tropical cyclone have to be buried.
Natural and constructed environments are highly affected. Cyclones bring about large and wild winds, in which we call them storms. These storms tend to be forceful, bringing winds more than 156 miles per hour. Winds this fast can rip trees from the ground and flatten buildings. Imagine large buildings like the Tower of Vodacom falling down because of a strong, large, and powerful storm. Winds this fast tend to kill and destroy every human activity that has ever been created. Cyclones that fall between, they cause degrees of destruction, including tearing branches of trees, destroying vegetation. This often results in loss of animal habitats. As you all know, that we have animals love to live in a wild forest. So imagine when all those forests has been destroyed and diminished. That means animals have nowhere to go. However, this may lead to the death of those animals. This often results in a loss of animal habitats, interrupting and changing ecosystems. Flying debris. When we talk about flying debris, we are mostly focusing on the things or the weather material that comes with the wind. These debris tend to kill people and animals. Cyclonic winds also can damage infrastructure such as power lines, communication towers, bridges, and roads. Cyclones also bring about flooding.
As they bring about flooding, they produce flooding in two ways. The first one, tropical cyclones frequently cause a surge in ocean waters, causing sea levels to rise above normal. This surge is sometimes called tidal waves. Tidal waves. They can drown people, they can drown animals, any living organism found by these types of floods. They can surge in ocean waters, causing sea levels to rise above normal. This surge is sometimes called tidal waves. Tidal waves. They can drown people, they can drown animals, any living organism found by these types of floods. They can never survive. And they are the greatest killers in cyclones. They are the greatest killers in cyclones. Cyclones can also bring torrential rains that can lead to too much flooding. Overflowing waters can damage buildings, infrastructure in coastal areas. They can also destroy vegetation and the flow into estuaries, damaging plant and animal communities that live there. Not only does cyclones bring wind and flooding, cyclones also create erosion. As the wind blows all those things, as the water floods the environment, erosion is created. The weathered material or the destroyed material, which is the trees, the houses, and everything, is being carried away from one place to another. A cyclone's high winds can erode the soil, thereby damaging existing vegetation and ecosystems. This erosion leaves the area exposed and prone to even more wind erosion. Soil and sand that is blown into other areas can damage the vegetation in those areas that is going to be deposited in. Erosion also can be caused by storm surges from tropical cyclones. Waves that reach far into a beach drag the sand back into the ocean, leaving the affected area highly eroded. This can damage beach and dune system as well as structures. The sea will eventually bring the sand to the beach, but this can take years and years. And then we go to storm churn. We have what we call a storm churn. A storm churn happens when a cyclone winds churn up cold water as it moves across the ocean. I know some of you have seen the ocean. You know how the ocean flows. You know how the ocean controls waves. This churning lowers the water temperature after the storm has passed, squelching the formation of the new storms into other areas can damage the vegetation in those areas that is going to be deposited in. Erosion also can be caused by storm surges from tropical cyclones. Waves that reach far into a beach drag the sand back into the ocean, leaving the affected area highly eroded. This can damage beach and dune system as well as structures. The sea will eventually bring the sand to the beach, but this can take years and years. And then we go to storm churn. We have what we call a storm churn. A storm churn happens when a cyclone winds churn up cold water as it moves across the ocean. I know some of you have seen the ocean. You know how the ocean flows. You know how the ocean controls waves. This churning lowers the water temperature after the storm has passed, squelching the formation of the new storms. Storm churn also invigorates the ocean current that moves warm water from tropical oceans to the poles and cold water from the poles to the tropics. Those are the damages caused by cyclones on human activities and humans themselves. Meaning that construction, natural features, man-made structures, all those things are destroyed. I cannot go as far as agriculture because the farms are always destroyed, leading to hunger afterward, after the storm has passed. People tend to suffer in what? In hunger. People tend to suffer through poverty due to those things, because storm leaves them with nothing. Cyclones destroy each and everything. Those who survived the cyclone will have to start over. For example, in the cyclone Dinewo, you know that you have seen that, or you have heard that those who survived the storm were left with nothing. They had to start from scratch. Imagine your own important documents are being flooded by the water. They are being taken away by the storm, and you are left with nothing, only yourself. Even the clothes that you are wearing, if you are unlucky and you are found by that storm or the flood, they are likely to go and you'll be left naked, meaning you have to start from scratch. Cyclones have a huge effect on human beings. They suffer. As you all see, the main things that causes the destruction during these tropical cyclones are the heavy rain, strong winds, storm surges in coastal areas. And then we will go to strategies to help prepare for and manage the effects of tropical cyclones. In order for you to prepare and manage the tropical cyclones, you have to listen to the radio, watch news and TV regularly, read newspapers if you can, pay attention to advice and instructions given by those who know better. On our last slide, we will have our reference list. This list, however, will help you if you want to read more on where we got some of the information, or where you can find more broadened information on tropical cyclones. You can follow the links, search on with your phone, search the websites, or if you have the books, buy the books, or if you go to the library, borrow the books so that you can read more on tropical cyclones. Thank you very much. I hope you all had a good day and you enjoyed your lesson.